Darts players, Sean, SWR Darts Coaching. Hope we're doing well. In the last episode, I talked about, I did my little intro of who I am and why I coach darts. And I thought to myself, we'll continue this little series and I'll explain what is involved in a coaching session really with me. I'll talk about how I go about a session. Is it structured? Are you going to be doing the same as the next person? What do you expect when you come to a coaching session? I'm going to talk about all them things in this little video because I think it's something that a lot of people are unsure about, and I always ask people when they come in for a coaching session, what were you expecting? I had a gentleman in here a few weeks ago, and his exact words were, I was unsure about coming for a coach, and I spoke to someone who come to you, Sean, and they basically said to me, no, he doesn't make you throw like he does. He says, and I was surprised by that. And I went, what do you mean? He's like, well, you'd expect when you go to a coach that you get them to do what you're doing. And I went, no. I said, I've got my unique style, my unique way of throwing. I said, that's my style, that's my way. I'm not going to try and impose that onto you. Why would I? And I think that is sometimes the issue when we talk about coaching, that we're trying to I'm trying to install my philosophy. That's all I'm trying to install on you in a way. That pre-throw routine, the structure of what you do before you throw. But when you're up there throwing, all I want to do is help you understand what you do and why you do it. So I'll take you back to a session I've just done recently, whereby I had a gentleman in, and the first thing we noticed was that as he's bringing that arm back, it dips every time on that backswing. So he starts out with a nice front position, but as he starts that backswing, the elbow dips down every time. And obviously by that then, what we're noticing is them darts were landing out of the board. They were landing very high. And he was like, yeah, why is that doing it? It's all because he's pushing up. As his arm's coming up, then he's pushing up. That elbow is dropping too deep for it to be pushed up. So as a coach, that's what I'm identifying. So once I've identified that, I'm then working on the ways that we can correct that and make that so that he's trying to keep that elbow up a little bit more, so that we're just trying to create that tick-tock motion. But then again, we like to look about the other things. So alignment was another key element that we had to focus on at this point. And his alignment was very out. I say very out. It was out. It was out to the left. So he was then leaning in. So he was creating that arc in his back. So again, that's another area at that point then we had to look at and try and get the player realigned. Once we got him realigned, it was then all about, that's the simplest part as well, by the way, the realignment of a player. Once we've got him realigned, it's then working on bringing that arm up a little bit more so that that elbow isn't dropping. We're keeping that motion up there and we're letting that arm drive through and drive down the line. But at the start of a coaching session with me, they are the first bits we do. I call it the MOT. So a player will walk in here. I have my assessment form that I use. So I use an assessment form when a player walks in here. I ask them, how long they've been playing for, what their sort of standard is. They've been to coaches before. If they have, what have they, gleaned from them coaches, etc. I'm then sort of trying to break down their game, find out a little bit more about them. What are their goals? What are their aspirations within the game? I then go from there to then getting them on the board, and I do an initial assessment then on the board. So as you can see there on the assessment sheet, I'm into my second box now. So I'm now assessing you on the board. I may give you a challenge from the off. A lot of the time I ask players to do what they normally do at home, and then we can talk about why that maybe isn't the right thing to do or it isn't working for you. But then that start of the session is the same for everyone who walks in through my door, really. Initial chat assessment, initial throw assessment. Now, if we're in for a 60-minute, a 1-hour session, that can be a chunk of that session, if you will. So then it's about me trying to detail out what the issues are that I see as early as I can. In the longer sessions, the 2-hour sessions, we can then dive into that little bit more. We can start to video it and understand it a bit better, and through the video, we can start trying to manipulate different positions. With where the elbow and the arm is and the throw line is, etc. And then we can go into a bit of training time. In the longer sessions, your 3 hours and your 4-hour sessions, again, we do the initial MOT, we do the initial check at the start of the sessions. Same as I always did do when I was in football. If I had a player come to me for one-to-one football coaching, I'd want to see what their ability is at the start. I want to see where they're at. And then obviously, like I say, the longer sessions, your 3 hour, 4 hour sessions, we're trying to go into that training time. We're trying to see what we do on our training board and how we can make that benefit us as darts players for us to get more out of training time. Now, I don't lie. And I mentioned this recently when I was on the PDPA Level 2 course, because if I mentioned I'm a PDPA Level 1 coach and a Level 2 candidate, probably not. When I was on that course, I did mention this in a video that, I recently had a player who walked in, and he was, a high-level player. He was playing on the PDC development tour. And he'd come in and he got a really good throw, really good structure. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this player is really good. And I knew the player as well. I'd seen him on the TV and everything. And I was like, it's a pleasure to coach this player. Of course it is. But this player's come to me for help. And they've got a really nice throw. And there wasn't much in the mechanics that I wanted to even tinker with anyway. Why would you? The mechanics have got them to a good stage already. So what area am I looking at now? Well, now I'm looking at this. The nugging, the onion, the mindset, the brain, the way you focus, what you're doing in between throws, what you're doing whilst you're throwing. Are you chattering to yourself? Are they negative connotations that you're chattering to yourself in between? That's now what I'm looking at. I'm focusing on these elements. What's he doing in his pre-throw before he throws after a bad throw? I'm putting him under pressurised circumstances to see how he handles the pressure. Is he crumbling under pressure? If so, why are we crumbling? And that's what I did in the session. And, the player came to me because his manager had contacted me and said, listen, we just want to have a chat with you and just see what you think. I was like, yep, that's fine. I love this. And he came in here and, first things first, it was like, listen, I don't want no photos. I don't want you. Yeah, that's fine. I totally understand that. There are still them players out there who don't want to be admitting that they're using darts coaches. I get it. But it happens, by the way, for them people on Facebook that always mock it. A lot of pro players are coming to darts coaches. And, we sat down and we broke down as much as I could. I've got a lot of certifications in sort of sports science, sports certificate, sports psychology, hypnotherapy and all these sort of areas. I've got the certifications in them areas. I've studied it as well. So I was then able to help that player sort of peel back a little bit of what he's doing, trying to stop them negative connotations coming in, trying to, deflect a negative into a positive, stopping the overthinking trap. He's analysing why that's gone wrong. Well, don't analyse that. You can't go back in time and change that, but you can now not let that affect your next dart. Trying to stay confident. You've missed the dart. Yeah, you've missed it, but let's stay confident. Let's build up a process whereby we go, okay, that's gone wrong. I'm on it. I'm on top of it. And we had a really good session, to be fair, and it was fantastic for me. And afterwards he was like, "Yeah, really appreciate it, Sean. Thank you for your time, etc." And his manager was like, "Listen, mate, hopefully it's done the job." And I followed the player, on the Dart Counter, Dart Connect, whatever it's called, when he's been at the PDC events and other events, and he seems to be doing okay. I've got to get out and watch him at some point. I'd like to see him in his environment. He was in my environment. I want to go see him in his environment. And if I do go to one of the the tour events, I won't be going, "Hey mate, how you doing? How's this and that?" I will sort of the head nod introduction, all that. And if he wants to come and chat to me, he comes and chats to me. But I want to see when he's throwing down how he's handling that. Because I've worked with him and I want to work with him again. And I've spoke to his manager a couple of times since, and hopefully that'll relive back into that. But again, it is that, guys. You all think that these pro players don't have coaches. They do. Players are coming to us for help. Not just, it's not about the throw. It's about up here a lot of the time. It's about other bits and bobs. And that's what, coaches like myself are doing in trying to help us get the better knowledge out there to you, the players. So again, going back to what I was saying, sometimes in a session, if I think you're a really good throw, I won't even get involved with that. A lot of my sessions, though, I do focus around vision alignment. And I've always joked I class myself as a training coach. So training is my area that I love. I do believe that if you've got 4 hours in a day to train, you shouldn't be spending 3 of them playing 501. You shouldn't. There are better darts training games out there. that you can use. I saw a video recently from a coach, and he used the phrase, "I absolutely detest drills. I hate the word drills." A drill is something that you drill a hole with into the wall. It's training routines, training schedules, training plans, training games. That's what they are. You're training. And I do that with a lot of players in here. And the way we'll do it is we'll do one training game. So, for instance, just thinking of one off the top of my head, I might do a game of floors with an amateur player. So I'll pop up over here so you can see my game of floors in action. And basically, you've got to do something 3 times to gain that floor and move up a floor. And then once you're on the next floor, you've got to do it again. But you don't fall back down a floor. I don't believe in this falling back down. Once you've achieved a target or a floor, you stay there. And I might do floors with them. And once we've done it, maybe a 5-minute game or something, what we'll do then is we'll go, right, we reached floor 3, say. Can we get past floor 3? We'll do it 2 more times. Can we get past floor 3? I'll then bring another game in. It might be a power scoring game or a setup game. And I'll do the same sort of scenario. We'll play it out whereby I go, right, this is what we want to try and achieve this target. If we don't, we'll try and get it. But if we do achieve it, then we're going to try and beat that target. And again, it's creating them smart goals and smart targets during the training that are going to give us more, time at the hockey that's worthwhile. Anyone can just go up there and keep throwing against the dart bots. And, you might keep losing against the dart bots, or you beat that level and you go up to the next level and you beat that level and you lose to that level and you go back down a level because you beat that level, you go back. Come on. I don't see it as training. I really don't. Again, coming from the football background that I come from, we wouldn't have done stuff like that. So for me, it's always about trying to find the focus in what we want to train. As I record this today, I've got a player here later for what I call, a maths lesson, if you will, a maths session. So I've had a player contact me. He's been before for coaching, and he basically said, "I'm struggling with my counting. I'm struggling with my pattern maths. Have you got anything that can help me?" I went, "Yeah, 100%. I said, "Put yourself in for a session." So he'll come in, and of course we'll be throwing, but then we'll be sitting down and we'll be working on pattern maths, pattern structure. So I'll be saying to him, I'll be putting him in situations where I'll be going, right, you're on 209. Where are you playing from here? And after you've thrown 3 darts, now in this position, how can you get down to where you want to finish this game? What areas do you need to pattern build to get to them areas? And that's what we do. Now, of course, you can do that without a coach. I'm not saying you need a coach to do that. But when you've got a coach there with you, if you're then saying, I'm going to go this way for that, that coach can then go, okay, yeah, I see and I hear you, but let's think about the jeopardy of going this way. Let's look at different options. And again, that's what a coaching session's all about with me. I try and keep them as fun and light-hearted as I can. Listen, I do my best to try and have a good laugh in here. I will tell you some stories and anecdotes from my coaching, and I'm going to do that on here in a video at some point as well, where I'm going to talk about some of the players that I've had in here. My most famous one was a player who, called himself the gunslinger. I always tell it in sessions. But believe me, I've had lots of different people through my door over the last sort of 8 years of doing this. And, you never know what's walking through your door, so you don't know what you're going to be dealing with when that player comes in. And as a coach, you've got to be ready for that. Especially if it's a junior player who might never have thrown a dart before. You want to make sure that they're engaged and that they're enjoying them sessions. I know when I used to run my darts academy, I was told by certain people that a couple of players were never fully engaged, with what we were doing. And I get that, because also then players just wanted to play 501 as well. They were coming to my training academy, but all they wanted to do was just play 501 against other players. That wasn't what the aim was. So that player coming in and then maybe doing a game of cricket, or maybe doing a game of bundle hits from Go Darts Pro, something like that, that player's then going to lose that little bit of interest because they don't want to train, they just want to play. Because in their mindset, playing makes them better. Whereas I am like, no, training makes you better. So I get that. And again, when a young player comes in here, I try and keep the games as fun, as silly, as light-hearted as I can, but with that full purpose at the end of the day that you're here to train as well. You're here to understand what you'll do, why you do it. That's what we're here for. So yeah, if anything I've said over the last few 10 minutes or so makes you go, yeah, I like the sounds of this, you can book coaching sessions with me. So I offer a variety of sessions in a way. I offer 1 hour sessions. I offer 2 hour sessions, 3 hours and 4 hour sessions. The online sessions are all 1 hour. They will be increased at some point. I offer junior sessions, so they are aimed at 7 to 11 year olds. Youth sessions, which are 12 to 15 year olds. Young adult sessions, which are the 16s and 17 year olds. And then 18 and upwards is your adult sessions. Again, they're all bundled together across my website. You can block book as well, whereby you can purchase 3 sessions for a discounted price, and then basically you can take them sessions whenever you want. I've had some people where they've taken them all in 1 week, some people where they spread it over a fortnight, and some people where they have one a month. So there's a good variety of what you can get with me. After a session, you always get the sort of bespoke training plans. You get my support. If you're struggling, I've had many a time where someone sent me a message and gone, Sean, this is happening. Why is this happening? And I've gone, right, send me a video. Let's have a chat. It's not a case of you've come for one session, bugger off, see you later. You're not coming back. I want people to come back, and that's sometimes why I don't give everything away in one session as well. So all these things, they're all available through my website, swrdartscoaching.co.uk. You can find all the information there as well. If you've got any questions, though, feel free to drop them in the comments. Feel free to drop me a message, and I'll do my best to answer them as and when I can. But hope that this video has given you a bit of an insight to what I do on one-to-one sessions. Apologies for the noise outside. We do have a forklift that goes past, which is really random, seeing as it's a car park, and the other units are down the bottom, but I don't know why that is. But yeah, thank you for watching. Again, please like, share, subscribe, follow me over here, follow me across all the social media channels. Any comments, as I say, any questions, drop them in the comments. I will look at them, I will read them. I do the same on Facebook. It's just sometimes I don't reply to ones that I just don't feel are worth my time replying to. But if it's something that I'm intrigued by, I will reply to it. So yeah. Thank you all once again. And until the next time, keep them darts going straight.